Learning 2014 is about redesigning the students' experience of learning so that they can take advantage of everything the online world has to offer in combination with an engaging face-to-face on-campus experience. UTS is making a significant investment in its campus because we think face-to-face learning is very important for students. Learning 2014 is in fact a work in progress. Basically, it's a focus on what students need to do in order to learn. Access content and ideas. They need opportunities to question those ideas, test them out against what they already know, to do something to try and put those ideas into practice, and then to reflect on what it is they were trying to learn, what they did, what the outcomes were, and what that means. So, for example, students might come onto campus and they might go to a class, but within that class they might be doing some group work activities. When they leave, they might be using Twitter to see what other students thought about that. They might access open education resources, they might be in a Facebook group, and so on. We know from research that much of students' learning actually takes place outside of the formal classroom, in informal spaces where they have opportunities to talk to other students. This space, for example, has been designed so that students can come out of class, plug their laptop into one of the multiple PowerPoints, access Wi-Fi, and just sit and read and think. Or they can join with their friends and do group work.
It's fantastic. I was actually enrolled in another program at another institution where we didn't have any common space, any large workspace. So I'm in my first week here at UTS and I can't believe actually what a difference in quality of my education it makes to have this space.
When most people think about studying at university, it conjures up images of hundreds of students sitting packed together in a lecture theatre, listening to an academic. Students need an opportunity to try out new ideas, to talk to other students. And this is what these spaces have been designed for. This space is a pilot for a number of large collaborative theatres that we're rolling out across the university, designed to facilitate both a lecture and collaborative learning. Lectures were invented in the very early days of universities because it was the only way of sharing information that was held in the head of the academic. Nowadays that's all changed, and ideas, concepts are available in books, on the web, a whole range of media. And so the focus of lectures has changed towards the students.
If you are simply giving knowledge, you could do that on a podcast or a book in the library. The technique that I have used is to try and present an idea and then juxtapose it with a movie or another idea from another person in the same lecture theatre, and then get students to talk about the differences.
I would love to use technology in my study, especially podcasts or video of the lectures.
I think it would be very interesting to hear viewpoints of people from around the world.
We live in a globalized world, and the more ideas you get from the outside, you will be able to open up your mind much more.
I feel it should be a combination of face-to-face learning as well as technology, e-learning.
This is another example of our large collaborative spaces. In fact, last year when we designed these spaces, I came over on the first day that they were used in a real class. And there was a casual academic here who was just finishing one of his classes. When I asked him about his experience in this room, he said he teaches exactly the same subject at another university where he's allocated a lecture theatre. He said that gives him no choice but to give a lecture, whereas here he's able to give a 10-minute lecture, and then he gives the students a real-life project to work on, and he's then able to walk around the room engaging and interacting with students in smaller groups, and he thinks this is a much better learning experience for them. So Tim, if I'm a student in this re-engineered subject, what would my experience be?
We get all the students to come to the first class. But during that time we explain how the subject will run and introduce some of the first topics. As time goes by, the classroom becomes flipped. The lectures the materials made available to the students online, and in fact they find some of their own materials and then come to class ready to work on projects or assignments that they're working on collaboratively.
So Tim, with this redesigned learning experience for students, what does that mean for your space requirements?
Well, I think spaces like this sort of collaborative learning space are just fantastic. It allows students to work in groups, it allows us to show common things and share things across different screens, but the access to technology in a flipped classroom is just fantastic.
In a nutshell, flipped learning refers to the utilisation of a range of technologies, distinct and different learning spaces, and a hybrid model of teaching to reinvigorate the student learning experience.
So as part of our increased use of flipped learning, we have to ensure that we've got the spaces for students to engage in the kinds of activities that we design. And this blue space here is one of our new hybrid classrooms where a formal class can be run, students can break up, work in groups, and when the class is not being used in a formal sense, the students can use it as group work.
The spaces around this area for individuals and very small groups as well, where people can access the technologies and internet and catch up with their daily lives as much as doing their study.
But students also need to be able to book rooms, and then it's enclosed so it's fairly quiet to enable them to undertake the group work. Our students often are having to transition between work and study, and this is a space that's designed to allow them to do that.
Most of us is actually working in the industry and studying at the same time, so I think not everyone can make a commitment to come to class every week, so it's going to be very, very good resources for us, especially for IT.
The increased use of technologies in higher education mean that learning is changing. But at UTS, we think human interaction is a really important aspect of learning. Therefore, we have a project called Learning 2014, which is looking at the seamless integration of online with the best of face-to-face. And so we're building a campus to facilitate the future of learning.